Okay, come on. What else you got? Boy, this is a tough one. I have no idea. I'm doing good because, you know, it's all scrambled up here. All right, first line. This is why Superman works alone. Okay. This is why Superman works alone is going to be from the Fantastic Mr. Fox. Oh, it's from Batman and Robin. I know. I didn't want to say the word Batman and Robin. I want to put them together because everybody gets all uptight.
This is why Superman works alone.
I was the best Batman, and you know it, and I know it. And I don't want to hear any more shit. All those other guys, you know, Batman has nipples, dude. He has nipples. How do you think he feeds the children? The little bats. So I don't want to hear any more bullshit. I was the best Batman. But, you know, it was not the most fun shoot because of the suit. It was a very painful suit. And you couldn't move. I would be laying on a board, and Joel Schumacher would direct you with a microphone with a giant speaker. And he would go, okay, George, and here we go. And ready, and your parents are dead. You have nothing to live for, and action. And then they just prop me up. And I go, I'm Batman. And I go, and cut. And they drop me back down. And then they carry me out on a board. And that was my experiences. I should have realized it was not going to be a hit right about then. I'm ashamed. All right, let's see. I'm not the guy you kill. I'm the guy you buy. That's from Michael Clayton.
I'm not the guy that you kill. I'm the guy that you buy.
I remember the last shot in the movie. There's a shot of me in the back of a cab, and it's just a camera on me for about 3 minutes while the credits roll. All the reviews and people were talking about how, gosh, it's such an amazing moment where, you know, you're sort of replaying everything that's happened to Michael. And the truth is, we were stealing the location in downtown Manhattan, like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're stuck in traffic. And the entire time, if you watch it, you can tell if you watch it now, all I'm trying to do is not laugh because there's all of these guys driving up on their bikes and, hey, George Clooney, hey, oh, ah. And the whole time I'm just looking straight at, ahead and looking at the camera and trying not to laugh at these knuckleheads, giving me a hard time. Okay, the next one is, sometimes it's impossible to save a kid's life, and the only thing we can do is save them from suffering. Now, because it says a kid's life, I'm going to guess that this is me as a pediatrician in ER.
Sometimes it's impossible to save a kid's life, and the only thing we can do is save them from suffering.
I did that show for 5 years. It was the last time I had to audition, so it was a long time ago. The funny thing about that show was Noah Wiley and Eric LaSalle and Juliana Margulies and I and Sherry Streetfield. Nobody really knew who we were. The show was supposed to be a big flop because it was an hour show. The network didn't want to put us on the air. They thought it was going to be terrible. They said, nobody understands it. Supraventricular tachyarrhythmia. What the hell does that mean? And then they put us on the air, and overnight it was just a massive, massive hit. We eventually had like 40 million people watching the show at one point. And suddenly we all had careers. And it was that wild thing that happens one day when, they call up and tell you what the ratings are, and all of us looked at each other and we thought, well, now we have a job for a year. It was very hard to memorize lines, but I cheated. Because, if you come in as a doctor, and this is your clipboard, you always have a clipboard as a doctor. And I'd come in and I'd be like, Billy is your name, I'm Dr. Ross, and seems to me that you have a spleen injury. And on the card, it would say, Billy, I'm Dr. Ross, and it seems to me, and I would just read it like this and look at it and hand it to him. Okay, here we go. This is going to be one. 10 ought to do it, don't you think? You think we need one more? You think we need one more? All right, well, we'll get one more. This is from Ocean's 11.
10 ought to do it, don't you think? You think we need one more? You think we need one more?
We wanted to get Julia Roberts. There had been some announcement that said she made 20 a picture, so I sent her a $20 bill on the top of the script and said, I hear you get 20 a picture. But she did it, and we got her. It was the second time I'd worked with Don Cheadle, and it was the first time I'd worked with Brad and Matt. And then we went on, I think I've done 7 films with each of them since then. So it was the start of something really fun and a great friendship between all of us. And Julia and I have done 7 films, I think, too. Something like, it's a lot. You know. Okay, come on, what else you got? We accidentally replaced your heart with a baked potato. You have about 3 seconds to live. Okay. This is from South Park. I'm doing good because, you know, it's all scrambled up here. There's nothing going on in here.
We accidentally replaced your heart with a baked potato. You have about 3 seconds to live.
I'd seen the Spirit of Christmas video, and then when the show got picked up, they called me, and the first thing they asked me to do was play Sparky the gay dog. And they recorded me, and they just had me bark. And then they called me and asked me to do the movie with them, and it was a really fun time. All right, let's see what else. Okay. Paradise can go fuck itself. Now, this is a tricky one. Oof. I'm going to say, boy, this is a tough one. I know the line, but I don't know the movie. The Descendants. I should have known that.
Paradise can go fuck itself.
We were in Hawaii shooting that for the whole time with Shailene Woodley, my dear friend, and Alexander Payne was the director. There was an actress who played my wife, she's in a coma. They wanted her to look like she was sort of decaying. So she went on a all-liquid diet, and over the period of while we were shooting, she's losing weight. And then they kept carving more and more out of the bed, so she just kept sinking into the bed and getting smaller and smaller and smaller, until finally she dies at the end of the movie. Okay, let's see, what else you got? I was working for an American company building hot tubs for Kuwaiti homes. Okay, there's a couple of these, so I'm going to say that this is from Men Who Stare at Goats. No, there's Three Kings. What is it? Oh, that's right, I played George Burnett.
I was working for an American company building hot tubs for Kuwaiti homes.
I had really good hair in that one. If you watch the reruns, and I know you do, I have probably the best mullet of all time, and I'm very proud of that. If you do watch the reruns, you might ask yourself how I still have a career, but I do. Okay, we cannot defend freedom abroad by deserting it at home. Good night and good luck.
But we cannot defend freedom abroad by deserting it at home.
This was the first film I wrote and directed. Grant and I wrote it with the intention of playing Murrow. And then we did a table reading. And after we did the table reading, I realized that I wasn't old enough and couldn't play the part. And then we went and got David Strathairn, who was brilliant. And I couldn't have done it nearly as well as he did. But we shot that movie in 4 weeks for $6.5 million. And then ended up getting nominated for, 6 Oscar nominations. And I'm always very proud of that film. And then I did the play on Broadway this summer. And none of you came to see it. I know. I detect, like me, you're endowed with the gift of gab. This is, oh brother, where art thou?
I detect, like me, you're endowed with the gift of gab.
I've done, I think, 5 films, something like that, something crazy number like that, of films with the Coen brothers, but this was my first one. And I got a call, and they said, you want to do a movie with the Coen brothers? I was like, yeah. And they said, you want to read the script? And I go, okay, but I'm going to do the movie. And then I read it, and it was Everett McGill. They assumed that I could sing because my aunt was a very famous singer named Rosemary Clooney. And they got me down to Nashville to sing at a recording studio. And I'm in the glass booth, and I've really worked on this thing. And I sing Man of Constant Sorrow, And I think I've done a pretty good job, quite honestly. And I finish, and I look up, and no one will look me in the eye. They're all looking down like, And they go, I go, what do you think, guys? And they're like, why don't you come in and listen to it? And they go in the booth, they play it back. And it literally sounds like a cat caught in the wheel well of a car, But what are you going to do? I'm the star of the movie. So I just went, and it was, unbelievably embarrassing. It really was horrible. And then, there's nothing they can do. So I just went, I think it sounds great. And then they all panicked. And then I said, bring your guy. And they brought a guy named Dan Tominski in who sang it and made me look very, very good. All right, let's see. I was thinking, if we met under different circumstances, if you were in a bar and I came up and we started talking, I wonder what would happen. This is from Out of Sight. And I'm saying this to Jennifer Lopez.
If we met under different circumstances, you were at a bar and I came up, we started talking. I wonder what would happen.
This was the first film I worked with Steven Soderbergh, who is a great friend and an extraordinarily gifted director. The reason that happened was it was on the heels of Get Shorty, which was the book before it. And originally, I think John Travolta was going to do it. Travolta passed on this film. The director who was directing it, who will remain nameless at the time, quit when they offered it to me. He said he's not going to make it in the movies, and he's a TV guy, and no, I'm not going to do it. Danny DeVito was one of the producers and said, well, Steven Soderbergh's had a couple of really bad films. And I was coming off of Batman and Robin, so we were both on our back foot in terms of bad films. And so we kind of really needed this film to work. It was important that this film work. People talk about it all the time. It's like, Soderbergh's one of his best films. But what they don't remember is it was a massive flop. I mean, a massive flop. I think it cost like $45 million to make, and I think it made like 20 or something crazy, something small like that. And everybody's like, well, that's it for you. You're never going to make it in the film business now. And now people look at it as a success, but boy, it sure wasn't at the time. What else you got? Let me see. Never get behind people traveling with infants. I've never seen a stroller collapse in less than 20 minutes. This is up in the air. And by the way, it's also very true. Let's be clear.
You never get behind people traveling with infants. Never seen a stroller collapse in less than 20 minutes.
Jason Reitman showed up at my house with the script in Italy. And he handed me the script, and I went upstairs to read it. And he's like, what do I do if you don't like it? And I said, well, then you got a nice vacation to Italy. And I read it, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful script. Once he put it together, the actors that he put in that film were so good. That was a film that I couldn't be more proud to have been a part of. All right, what else? Let's see. I'm starting to worry a little bit. Innocent until investigated. That's nice. It's got a nice ring to it. Bet you worn some miles on old sayings like that. Gives the listener the sense of the law being written as it's spoken. It could be intolerable cruelty. No. Innocent until investigated. That's nice. It's got a nice ring to it. But you worn some miles on old sayings like that. Gives the listener the sense of the law being written as it's spoken. I have no idea. My brain is fried. Oh, Syriana. You see? That's how little I pay attention.
Innocent until investigated. It's nice. It's got a nice ring to it. I bet you've worn some miles on little sayings like that.
There was another actor originally in it, in the part, and I was a producer on it with Soderbergh. The actor dropped out 6 weeks before we were supposed to start, and I was shooting Ocean's 12 in Europe. I went to Steven, who was producing, and I said, if I put on, 40 pounds, do you think I could do the part? And he's like, well, if you can do that. And so I had 6 weeks as I wrapped Oceans to eat croissants and drink beer. By the way, it's not that fun. If you're never hungry and you're just drinking a lot of beer and it sounds fun. It's not. Ultimately, I put on about 45 pounds. The funniest part was I did it because I was playing a real guy named Bob Baer. When he heard that I was doing it, he started exercising and lost a lot of weight, and he showed up looking great. I looked different. That was not a fun shoot. It was a hard shoot to do. I got injured while I was doing it in my back, and I tore my dura and had 5 or 6 surgeries on my back and neck afterwards. So it wasn't that much fun to do. It was fun to work with Christopher Plummer and people like that. And Matt and I got to work together again. Let's see. All right. I'm Down Here. That is from Jay Kelly.
I'm down here.
You're up there, you're down here, you're in here.
Noah Baumbach literally found some horrible picture of me from 1985, and he blew it up to like 40 by 40 feet and hung it on the side of this building. And I walked out and it was like, oh my God, another terrible picture of me. It was really fun to work with Noah. I love Adam and Laura Dern. Laura Dern and I did our first movie together in 1984. There's a movie called Grizzly 2. And we were in Hungary. This is like communist Hungary in 1984, 83. they ran out of money. We got stuck there. We couldn't get home. We didn't have money to fly home. Anyway, we come home. The movie never comes out, thank God. And then like 2 years ago, some schmuck finds it, gets a bunch of stock footage of bears running wild and puts it together. And then literally 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, the movie gets released. It was Charlie Sheen, Laura Dern, and I. We get killed in the first scene in the movie, but now we're the star of it, of course. And literally, I'm getting the worst reviews of my life 40 years after I did the movie. So it's nothing to do with Jay Kelly, really. Did I mention I was the best Batman? Okay, let's see. Worst 19 years of my life. Worst 19 years of my life. Oh, this is going to be Ticket to Paradise with Julia.
Worst 19 years of my life.
Ol Parker, the director, sent me the script, and I read it, and I called up Julia. And this was during COVID. And I said to her, I'll do this if you do it. She read it. She called me back and goes, we got to go to Australia to shoot it. We have to isolate for like a month and, all this stuff. I was like, it'll be fun. We'll all isolate together. So we all went down. I took Amal and the kids, and we were in one house, and Julia was in another. We were in Australia. And we shot there for months and had truly the time of our lives in there. But you find out everything in Australia can kill you. I'm not kidding. There'll be like frogs running around the thing. They go, don't touch that frog, it's poison. And there's like spiders. The spiders are like the jellyfish. Oh yeah, you got to wear this suit. Why? Because the jellyfish stings you, it'll kill you. I'm here as the tourist. Go to Australia. Enjoy yourselves.